SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew is proud to announce we are now officially powered by TEC. If their fiber optic internet service can handle everything we throw at it here in the studio, from videos to calls and live streams, you better believe they can handle your home or business too. If speed, stability, and service is important to you, you can count on TEC. Thanks, TEC. Now let's get to the show. In a world that moves way too fast, there's one place that feels like home. Tater's Place in Paris, Tennessee, where the sizzle of a smash burger meets the sound of laughter and every plate tells a story. Bring the family, make memories, and taste the love in every bite. Live music, real people, and unforgettable food. That's Tater's Place, 3615 Highway 79 North. Find the flavor you've been missing at Tater's Place. Come and feel what you've been hungry for.
Are you looking for a fence that gives you peace of mind? At All-Star Fence Company, we don't just build fences, we build confidence. Whether it's keeping your family safe, protecting your property, or simply adding curb appeal, All-Star delivers unmatched quality, dependable service, and lasting results. Locally owned and trusted across West Tennessee, Kentucky, and beyond, we're the name homeowners count on for reliability and strength since 1971. All-Star Fence Company, your first line of defense and your best choice for peace of mind. Visit allstarfenceandsupply.com today.
Happy Sunday and welcome to another episode of SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew. Of course, I'm your host, Jeremy Buckelew. Glad to have you with us this evening. Want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors for bringing you SportsCast each and every week. I want to say thanks to Taters and to All-Star Fence. And also, don't forget about the guys out at Patriot Plumbing, Shelter Insurance, Eaton Construction, and Tennessee Real Estate as well. Without them, we wouldn't be able to bring you the show week in, week out. And so appreciate all of those guys and everything they mean to us here at SportsCast, and just being able to bring you the show every week because of their sponsorships, and it's much appreciated. And when you're out and about in town, if you see those guys, go by and see them, or if you see them out, be sure to thank them for bringing you SportsCast each and every week. Got a great show tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it for some time now. Special guest host with me, no stranger to SportsCast. We're going to have to change the name of it to SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew and Sam McDaniel if it keeps going the way where it's going. But
only if you tell me what color you're actually wearing here, because I got singled out and didn't realize I got punked.
Well, you like to keep you on your toes.
If I knew Dave Matthews was going to be playing at church today, I would have dressed more or dressed different, I guess.
It's the modern look,
it's something.
Sam, good to have you with us. Going to have, like I said, just a fun show tonight because I got two guys here with us that I've known for a long time, consider both of them to be good friends, and just two guys that I think highly of because one reason is I want to be like them, essentially. And so welcome to SportsCast, the one and only Mr. Brian Rives and his son Knox Rives. Of course, Brian is the voice of the Austin Peay Governors. And Knox, if you have ever been to a Clarksville athletic event, you've seen Knox on the sidelines taking notes, getting shots and all that, because he works with ClarksvilleNow.com and does the sports writing there for the Clarksville High School. So guys, welcome to Sports Class. Glad you made the trip over from the beautiful town of Clarksville, Tennessee, to be with us here in Henry County tonight.
Thank you for the invite. If I'd have known, we'd have stopped at Taters on the way in. We passed it on the right coming through, so I would have known.
Get you some pickles.
But thanks for the invite.
Yeah,
we do very much appreciate that. I never thought I'd be back in Paris, Tennessee again by choice, but here we are, so we'll see how that goes.
You probably didn't want to come back to Paris, Tennessee.
Yeah, well, the last time I lost by 50 in a football game, so I don't know if I felt good about that.
Does not have good memories on the football field, that's for sure.
Well, it's funny because when I invited these guys on, I said, Brian, we'll talk about being the voice of the Governors and everything that comes with that. And Knox, we'll talk about why do the people of Clarksville just hate Henry County so much?
Man, I wonder. It's not a big secret at all.
It's admiration to the nth degree. How's that?
We'll take it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those healthy.
That was almost believable.
Well, it's true. It's kind of like the old, the SEC rule. You don't like anybody else if you're a Tennessee fan or a Kentucky fan until it's bowl game time or tournament time. Then you root for the university or you root for the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same. It was hard to come play Henry County. It's hard to play the Patriots, but you always knew what that measuring stick was going to be. Sure. You always knew what you were going to find out about yourself. But then again, you always cheered for them a little bit because it made everybody else look better and look good in the district and in the region as well. So,
and we always have baseball. So we'll
That's true. That's true. We won't talk about that tonight. But anyway, just like I said, glad to have you guys on. And Brian, I've known you for a long time. We used to work together.
20 plus years.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that driving over today.
Been a while. And so
we had more hair then. I know that.
And a lot less pounds for me.
Same.
You were talking about your shirt. We've got some pictures of you and Knox coming up here a little bit later, and y'all were talking about this may be the same shirt. I'm impressed that you can still wear a shirt that you had 2 years ago because I would not be able to do that. So
the one good thing, my father gave me many pieces of knowledge, as all good fathers do, but one saying he gave me, and I've passed it along to Knox as well, never turn down a free sandwich or a free shirt. So when you hang around a university or you hang around an athletic department, sometimes you get a T-shirt, a polo shirt, So you put those on, put them in the closet. My wife would tell you the exact number that are in the closet of red, white, and black that have an Austin Peay logo on it. It's obnoxiously large, but hey, it's a free shirt. I couldn't tell you the last time I had to go buy a shirt in a long time.
I had a buddy this week text me, and he used to help coach the Patriots, and he's no longer they live in South Georgia now, and he's like, hey, do you want the rest? Because when he moved, he gave me a handful of Henry County gear, and he said, hey, do you want the rest of my Henry County gear? I don't wear it anymore. Absolutely. If you want to send it to me, I will take it and I will wear it. So I am taking that advice from you and never turning down a free shirt. So
fantastic.
Don't forget the sandwiches, or then you might look a little more like me that way.
I still haven't turned down a sandwich. It may not look like it.
Guys, so Brian, you're the voice of the Austin Peay Governors. You do football and basketball.
This will be my I've been with the Governor Sports Radio Network for 22 years.
Wow.
This will be my 11th season of football. We'll kick it off at Middle Tennessee on the final Saturday in August, and I'll start my 7th season as play-by-play voice of basketball, men's basketball, this coming fall. I started doing coaches shows, interviewing head coaches for football, men's and women's basketball. That was a great training ground for me. Moved from doing some coaches show work to doing PA work on site, the voice inside the Dunn Center for women's basketball, the voice at Raymond C. Hand Park for baseball, and did a little softball. I've now handed softball off to Knox, so he takes care of Shell Holtfield and the softball team at Austin Peay. So I've been involved with Austin Peay for 22 years, and like I said, on the radio side, never really for 20, but as the play-by-play voice for the past 11.
So getting into the radio part of it, we were talking before we came on the air, but you're saying that the PA is what taught you how to do that, really.
I tell anyone who wants to get in this business, and Knox is taking classes at Austin Peay, and there's lots of comm majors and folks that would like to get into this. I tell everyone, start at the PA level. Do public address, because it forces you to watch a game completely different as a fan. When I go watch a Titans game and I'm sitting in Adelphia, Nissan, whatever it's called this week, I watch that game completely different than I watch a game when I'm trying to call and tell you what's going on the radio or television. And that starts with doing PA, because you've got to pay attention to what's happening with the action. You might have a favorite player that plays linebacker, but if that linebacker's not involved in the play, your eyes should never touch him or her. If you have a favorite wide receiver and that it's a running play to the opposite side of the field, the boundary, you never should see that player or know what's going on with that player. You have to watch the game differently, and I think that starts at the PA level, because you have to be on your toes to announce, Joe Smith on the carry, John Tyler on the tack, things like that you really have to come across. And you can translate that easier, in my opinion, to radio and broadcasting than you can just as a fan cheering for, go Cats go, or right, go Govs, or whoever that is. So I think you just have to learn to watch the game completely differently as a broadcaster than you do as a fan. Now, That's not to say I'm not a fan. I'm still 100% a homer when I get on there. The old joke, you cut me, like Corey Gibson says, our basketball coach, you cut me, I still bleed red. And that's Austin Peay red. So I'm still a fan. I still have a lot of homer tendencies. I try to stay neutral. I make a joke about it. I try to stay neutral in football for 3 quarters. Then that 4th quarter, I'm all Governor. In basketball, I try to stay neutral till about midway through the second half, and then I'm all Govs to close it out. And that's kind of the way I approach my broadcast.
Yeah.
I can kind of echo that PA point because my first job in sports, actually, I was a freshman in high school, and it was about December. So we were into basketball season already. And this was back when we were still in the big district with all the Clarksville schools in Henry County. And it was a big district game against Rossview. And the entire place was sold out. And my gym teacher told me in 6th period that day that I was announcing the basketball game that night. I was so terrible that night. I was awful. But I was in a sold-out gym, and I got through the fire a little bit, got tested. And through that, I learned, okay, I'm not going to do that. Whatever I just did, that's not going to happen again. So learning through that, especially so young because I was only 14 when I started doing it. So learning that early on, how to do that and how to do PA, that's really helped me with radio this far in my career.
So what else radio do you do?
So I did football last year. I'm not doing football this year, but I did it for the student radio. For the student radio, I'm the voice of women's basketball for Austin Peay. You can catch me on ESPN Plus on a few games for softball, basketball, lacrosse this spring that's starting up. I will be doing the lacrosse games on ESPN Plus. So really just wherever they need me, I go.
Nice.
That's the joy of being young and being a student.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can spell lacrosse. I'll just be honest with you. The amount of knowledge I have for lacrosse wouldn't fill that Pepsi can right there.
I did not realize Austin Peay had a lacrosse team.
We are adding it this spring.
Yeah, This will be the inaugural season this coming spring. They added it. You look at all the numbers. It's the fastest growing sports in the Southeast. Yeah. It's the easiest to add because your facility is basically on a soccer field, or if you have a converted football field. So the facilities basically have to provide a locker room and some equipment. And so it was added 2 years ago. Is that right? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
And they'll play their inaugural games and season this coming spring.
Nice.
So do you get to use the stick as a weapon?
Not in women's lacrosse. Only
Okay.
women's team.
I mean, I didn't know.
See, weapon is a loose word because I've seen a lot of contact trying to watch and learn in case I ever, in case
He's
my
trying
number
to
gets
get people
called.
ejected from lacrosse games.
Yeah, he's trying to end it quick. So I'm trying to learn.
you use what you're given, right? I mean,
It's like football. There's holding on every play. It's just what do they see?
Exactly.
What happened? So I'm sure it's the same way with lacrosse. So we'll learn. We'll all learn together.
I was so excited about starting the show, I didn't even get to the best thing I've seen this week. And so we'll go around. I'll start to give y'all time to think about what yours is going to be. I've really got 3, I guess, if you could say that. Kenna told me she brought us some waters and dropped it off. She said, if this isn't the best thing you've seen this week, you're going to be in trouble when you get home. So number 1 is Kenna and Whitney bringing us some waters.
Shout
I
out, Kenna.
appreciate
Thank
it. Yes. The second thing is all of the kids are at home for the next couple days. On Wednesday, Cade will be moving to Jackson, Mississippi. He got into law school down there at Mississippi College, and so he is moving to Jackson, Mississippi on Wednesday. But for now, all 3 of our kids are at home. That's always a nice thing, and you miss it when it's not the case anymore. And so we're glad to have them under one roof for the next couple of days, regardless of what they each say about that. As a parent, it's nice for that. But and then the last thing I'm going to go with is the calendar flipping over to August means that it's football season. And so this Friday night, we've got Montgomery Bell coming to Henry County for a scrimmage, and then it's the Jamboree the next week, and then season kicks off on a Thursday night against Haywood County. I think that's August the 17th, something like that. But anyway, it's August and it's football season. So
100%.
Best thing I've seen this week. So, Brian, how about you?
I will. I'm going to go with in-house, kind of like what you did. As much as I'm proud of Knox, I also have a beautiful young daughter who's going into her senior year.
Fun
so
times.
The best thing I saw this week is the excitement in her eyes, getting ready for her senior year at Clarksville High School. I did not know that decorating a pair of jeans for your first senior day was a thing until yesterday. Until trips to Hobby Lobby and Michael's and Target and paint and rhinestones and vinyl pressings later, we have a pair of jeans ready to go for the first day of school. Did not know that was a thing, but the excitement in her face and her eyes and getting ready for her senior year, that's the best thing I've seen this week, is just to see the fun from her.
Sure. Awesome. How about you, Knox?
For the record, I did not bedazzle any jeans my senior year. I just want to put that out there.
Knox was glad to get through senior year. Let me go ahead and just say it, though.
So I'll go two things for you. First, I play a lot of pickup basketball, and my buddy, who I go play with a lot, he is absolutely terrible. I won't name drop him. But he did drop all 12 points in one of our games this week, so
Very good.
that was fantastic for him.
Nice.
Just caught fire from 3. Secondly,
Let it rain.
yeah, literally. I'm going to echo what you said. You know, it's August. I got to watch 2 scrimmages this week. I got to watch Clarksville Academy, Scrimmage Innovation Academy, and I got to watch Montgomery Central and Kenwood scrimmage. So just seeing live football on a field, there's no better feeling than that. So it felt fantastic to watch that.
Nice.
Yeah. So, as you said, all kids are home, which is nice. All 3 are there for the moment.
Nice.
It's also the start of girls soccer season.
Yeah,
so
sure.
let's not leave
Okay.
that one.
I
Leave
got
that
you.
one, Jeremy.
I got you.
And then today was my first official round of golf, and I only lost net 2 balls.
Oh,
That's
wow.
pretty good,
That's
Sam.
fantastic.
Now I lost 9, and I brought back 7 from a ditch. But we're not talking
That's a
about
net
that.
loss
He
of
did say
2.
net.
I said
He
net
that.
2.
You
So-
quantified.
Yeah,
I'm
so
glad to hear that you're playing golf, and now I got somebody else to go play
that's
golf with. Because
well, it was a noble attempt, and I had
Well,
I had a good set of friends. That
sometimes
that
a noble
took me.
attempt is the best way to go play. So
He's using the word play very loosely.
right.
It's a
But,
good excuse to be outside for 4 hours.
I mean, you've seen John Daly, right? I'm not him.
Listen, I was telling these guys, you know, we played in the TCAT tournament a couple weeks ago or last Friday, and my contribution for a whole 18 holes was I think I hit 2 putts, and that's it.
Nice.
And so that tells you all you need to know about my golf game is that I need to be calling Greg Laster and being like, Coach, how much are lessons so I can straighten this driver out and not hook it to the left every time I swing it. But anyway, great. Yeah, so all good things, guys. That was good. Great stuff. And so, Brian, back to you and Knox. Of course, you don't. I think it's awesome that y'all have like the father-son combination. Both of you working at Austin Peay, getting to do that and just teaching him, I guess, what you know, whether he wants to learn it or not, maybe sometimes, right? But
Well, you know, and I'll be honest with you, and I think he'll tell you the same thing. I'm dad. I'm always going to be dad.
Sure.
When we get into this part of the profession, I have given him little things. I'm not the pusher there, and I've tried. I've introduced him to people, but I've never asked for a favor.
Sure.
You know, he chose where he wanted to go to college. He started actually working for the athletic department your junior year of high school.
Sophomore year.
Year of high school.
Yeah, get it right.
Doing stat. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm old. I forget. You know that. You remind me all the time. So working stats and working games.
Yeah.
Actually, I should have passed along the picture. I've got a picture of him when I was doing PA for women's basketball. He was one of the ball boys, running towels, mopping the floor, doing that. And I think you were in probably 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah,
at that.
elementary school.
Yeah,
for
elementary
sure.
school. So the majority of what he's learning is from those instructors at Austin Peay. He'll ask me a question, and then by all means, when he does, I get excited. I admit it, and I geek out a little, and we'll go into the weeds and go that route. But I've never been one to push him in any direction. He started working, and like you said, with ClarksvilleNow.com, writing stories on high school sports, taking photographs. He's getting fantastic with behind the lens on the camera side. I honestly think, and this is dad speak, that might be the route that may be more avenues for him there. But it's fun. This has always been my dream to have this kind of secondary job or secondary career working in sports and working in radio. He showed interest. He is farther along than I ever was at this age. I was still stuttering and stammering, trying to get through a high school football game at this age and trying to, make it sound like I knew halfway what I knew what I was talking about, which some people still don't think I do, and some days I don't. But to see him keep moving forward, it just blows me away.
Yeah.
I have to check myself to be the proud dad and then be the guy that he comes to be a little bit of a mentor to him as well. So
sure.
I think the cool part about it is, I growing up you always want to be an athlete. And then very quickly I realized, okay, I'm not going to be a professional athlete. Got to switch career paths here. So
we all had that realization. There's very few of us that don't get to pull that out.
Exactly. So I knew I wanted to be in sports. I didn't know exactly what I want to do. And to be honest, I still don't really know what I want to do. So I'm doing a lot. But I think the cool part about it has just been, learning from him has been awesome. Like, you don't have to call somebody. You don't have to go make an appointment to go talk to somebody about radio because he literally lives not 2 doors down, in my own house.
He's like 2 rooms away.
That's what I meant to say.
So, 2 doors in a long hallway.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
But it's been really cool to kind of learn from him, to do some things, to be able to get on the air has been awesome. I've always said a big career goal of mine is to call a game with him at some point. But I've always said as well, I do want to honor my dad, and he's a part of my legacy and everything, and he's helped me a lot. But I want to make my own path, and that's always something I've said is I want to be Knox Rives. I don't want to be Brian Reeves' son.
Sure.
Now, I'll proudly be Brian Reeves' son, but that's not the first thing you're going to talk about, man. Yeah. So I think it's like making my own path, trying to grow my game in the radio industry. I think this year was huge doing women's basketball on my own, doing those solo broadcasts, because you guys know doing a solo broadcast is a whole lot different than with a partner.
Yeah, it's tiring. It's a mental.
Yeah,
it's a mental
especially
game for sure.
basketball when you're back and forth. So doing that this year was awesome. I actually got to be a practice player with women's basketball on the road, so that was a fun time as well. But just doing all these, I've been so blessed with all these opportunities and doing, basically every job you can think of in sports, and so it's been a really good time, and I've really been around some great people that have helped me a lot.
And y'all have had a couple of cool, we had a picture of just a second ago that y'all got to experience together. Of course, Brian, with you being the voice of the Governors, anytime they go somewhere, you're there y'all are on the field at Neyland.
Shields Watkins Field, Neyland Stadium. Yes, sir. That was Knox's first game as a college freshman.
Yes, sir.
We opened it for Tennessee, and it scared them a little bit for
I
three
remember,
quarters.
I thought it was
we
pretty
were
close,
up 6-0
right?
at one point.
Yeah, I remember because I like driving over here. I was like, I'm pretty sure that Tennessee Austin Peay game was close.
So
good teams win, great teams cover, baby.
So when he got old enough really to travel and kind of be self-sufficient, I made a point to take him. I mean, like I said, even if I was doing PA or if I was doing radio and I thought he could sit in the stands with someone, my father traveled with us quite a bit as well. Unfortunately, his health now doesn't get to travel as much as he used to, but we chose to try to get him to the big game. So he's been to more SEC stadiums than a lot of folks.
Yeah.
We got him to Alabama, got him to Tennessee, got him to Kentucky, got him to Georgia.
Ole Miss.
Got to Ole Miss. We get to Vanderbilt next year. Didn't get to go with us a couple years ago, but and I've made it a point to, just like I said, I'm going to introduce him. It's your job to. I'm going to show you where the key to the door is and where the handle is. It's your job to kick it down. I'm going to introduce you to the people that can help you get there. It's your job to go blow them away and kick me out of my spot. I say that to my wife at times that in a dream scenario and down the road a little bit, I step away and Knox steps right in.
Sure.
Is he still here, or does he have something bigger by then? I hope he does. I hope it's not really an option. But yeah, we've had some great experiences going to places, and you guys know just as much. The games are great. It's the road trip. Yeah. It's the hotel. It's the dinner the night before where you tell lies and tell stories, and everything that goes into that. When he was playing ball, there was a lot of midnight rides where I can think of one where we played at Austin Peay played at Eastern Kentucky next day for an 11 o'clock kickoff because we had a TV time slot. Well, they played at Dixon County that night. So they got off the field after winning at Dixon County. I got in the truck about 11:15, got to Richmond, Kentucky about 3:30 in the morning because of the time change. Took a nap, about 7 cups of coffee and a bad sausage biscuit later. I'm calling a college football game. Wow. So a lot of those kind of nights that just you make sacrifices and do what you need to do for your own family first before you get to your work family. But it's a lot of fun, and we wouldn't trade it for anything.
I think I'm very grateful for that. I think that meant the world to me. As a high school kid, you always want your family there. You always want people to support you. The fact that he would go so far out of his way, like y'all don't understand. This man loves driving, but he also hates it. I think he's a psycho sometimes because he won't never let anyone else drive anywhere.
Can't do it.
You can't do it. But
anyways,
I think a big part of it as well is he's instilled this in me. We're both extremely competitive people in everything. And I mean everything.
Yeah.
Like I want to be part of the reason I'm in this is because I want to be better than him.
Sure.
Like I want to be able to be like, hey, I'm calling an SEC game today. Where are you at? Moorhead, Kentucky? Like, where are you at? So I enjoy doing that, and we always have banter, but I think we kind of make each other better to a point a little bit.
Moorhead, Kentucky catching strays there, brother.
Sorry, Moorhead State. That was just the first thing that came to the head.
And
I could have said Perry.
I was going to say, you were talking. I got so much I want to talk about. I don't know how we're going to get to it all.
Let's go.
But,
before you get started,
we'll make it a two-parter. We're good.
Let's diverge just a second. We're talking about Austin Peay, right?
Yeah.
NIL. So
Okay.
one of the cool things that we've talked about is the relationship we get to build with the players and the coaches and and the families locally. But how much of that has changed with NIL? I know Austin Peay's NIL package has been evolving over the last couple of years. So what does that look like for y'all?
I think that's a valid question. I'm going to get Knox to kind of stay out of this since he's still a student and active in the department. For me, and the first thing you said is the best part of this job, getting to build relationships. Right. I will say this. We've had 3 head football coaches since Will Healy led this program, just got a job at East Tennessee State. As soon as I got the news, I sent a text to him and his wife saying, congratulations, hope to see you soon. Got a text back and had a little exchange there. And I know he's in the middle of interviewing and going to a press conference. Sure. Scotty Walden at UTEP. My birthday was a couple weeks ago. One of the first texts I got that morning was from El Paso, Texas, from Scotty, and having those relationships. We went to a high school scrimmage Friday night. 2 former governors. One's a high school football coach on the sideline. One's an official now. So we got to have some time with them and catch up and go through those. So those relationships, first and foremost, when you said that, that's the most important part of what we do. I've been invited to weddings. I've seen emails and got texts for childbirths and all this stuff. I've done this long enough where those young men are getting to that point in their life, and that's so much fun to see and watch him and his sister as well. The NIL part, I will put my personal feelings aside on what the totality of NIL and the NCAA, which to me does nothing. But we are the small fish in the big pond. We know that. We've got to make the experience when they walk on campus at Austin Peay, when they play for Austin Peay, with the dorm they live in, the facility they play in, the cafeteria they eat in. We have to make that better than school B or C at our same level. We know we're not going to compete with the Vanderbilts and the Tennessees and the Arkansas and the Auburns and not. We understand that. We are competing with the Western Kentuckys and the Middle Tennessees and the UT Martins and Tennessee States. So we have to make sure. Huge push 2 years ago from basketball with F&M Bank Arena. Forterra Stadium is now 10 years old.
I believe, yeah, 2015.
So those things are the pieces that we have to compete. We're not going to be able to cash that check. We're not going to be able to roll out 10 Ferraris on visit day like the University of Texas parks them as you walk into their football facility. That's not, we could get you a couple of Ford Rangers and, some Chevrolets. Sure. and maybe a Corvette or two. That's about where we are. Right. But we've got to compete with that equality money-wise. It's got to be where can we make ourselves different? And for us, the differentiation is we want your experience at Austin Peay to be the better because of where you trained, where you live, where you played, the support you get from the people. Money-wise, I think we're competitive. I know we're not going to get into real dollars and cents here, but I think we're competitive with what we offer against the Tennessee State, against the UT Martin, we're probably a little behind Western just because of the Conference USA money they get compared to us playing in the UAC or the ASUN, but it has made a difference because, like, we start football on the 30th of this month at Middle Tennessee. I'll get ready to call a football game, and I'll know 2 of the starters on the defensive side of the football because 4 of those starters a year ago now play in different uniforms and helmets. We have become a feeder system. At this level, it's going to be. If we, 3 years ago, we had an all-conference, all-American wide receiver. He's now at Texas Tech because of NIL and what they can do for him compared to what we could do. I'm not going to fault a young man or young woman for moving on and making themselves better and helping their family, quite honestly, with some of that money. But we also realize our role. So when we get someone on campus that is special, that can be a difference maker, we've got to pour into him or her from a support side from the community, from a support side from academics, from a support side of, hey, this is what you want to do in the future. There's no telling how many guys and girls that have said they wanted to get into the media side, and they've shadowed me doing something, or come and we've gone to lunch, or sat down at a table and just kind of talked things out about what opportunities, or what would you do next, or where would you start. Those kind of things that you're not going to get at a larger institution. So money-wise, we understand we're behind. I won't say behind the 8 ball. We're right beside the 8 ball. I think we've positioned ourselves pretty well at Austin Peay, and with the support we've got from the community and the business entities that do support it. But it's a different world. I mean, from 10 years ago, it is a completely different world.
I think at a smaller school like Austin Peay, I think it makes the people that are on staff so much more important, those relationships you build. Like 100%. With women's basketball this year, we had a lot of transfers out, but I'm still very close with a lot of those players because I practiced against them. We were on the road together, all that stuff. I know a lot of the football guys, know a lot of the baseball guys, softball girls, the sports I work with. The support that you give them as a staff member means so much more at a school like this compared to a school like a Tennessee that's got 80,000 SIDs, 80,000 photographers, 20,000 people helping with radio. When it's really just a lot of times on the road, it's a one-man crew. You got one SID, you got one radio guy. That's about all it is at Austin Peay. So forming those relationships and showing people how much you care about them and how much you want them not only to be successful on the field but off the field. We always talk about the total Gov concept and how we want people to be great in the classroom and on the field. So the total Gov concept has to be not only in the classroom, on the field, but also how we treat people and how we talk to people in those relationships.
And you guys know it. Like I said, those relationships, you tell the story. When you guys are calling a ball game, you can tell a little more about that young man or that young lady. Same thing with us when we develop those relationships. I started in high school. I started calling high school football. I knew it was mamas and grandmamas that were listening. So I had to make sure, first and foremost, I said their name right. Let's be honest, pronunciation. Then I had to, if I knew a little story or knew something going on, I could tell that. And you don't get that kind of homey, I guess you could say, at the college level, but it's still that important off the field. Like you said, there's so many bus rides, there's so many team meals, there's so many, I'll go to football practice this week and talk to the guys as they're coming off the field and just, hey, how the classes end up, if I know them a little better, if I still know what their girlfriend's name or if they know their moms or something, things like that. It's just those kind of situations are what set us apart at this level compared to where you could get lost in the number game at your bigger institutions.
Great. Yeah, it makes sense.
Guys, we got to take a break. We'll be back after these messages, more with Brian Rives and Knox Rives, talking Austin Peay sports and just life in general. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
In a world that moves way too fast, there's one place that feels like home. Tater's Place in Paris, Tennessee, where the sizzle of a smash burger meets the sound of laughter, and every plate tells a story. Bring the family, make memories, and taste the love in every bite. Live music, real people, and unforgettable food. That's Tater's Place, 3615 Highway 79 North. Find the flavor you've been missing at Tater's Place. Come and feel what you've been hungry for.
Are you looking for a fence that gives you peace of mind? At All Star Fence Company, we don't just build fences, we build confidence. Whether it's keeping your family safe, protecting your property, or simply adding curb appeal, All Star delivers unmatched quality, dependable service, and lasting results. Locally owned and trusted across West Tennessee, Kentucky, and beyond, we're the name homeowners count on for reliability and strength since 1971. All Star Fence Company, your first line of defense and your best choice for peace of mind. Visit allstarfenceandsupply.com today.
Back here on SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew. I do want to remind you of some shows coming up here from the Brewer Street Mafia Studios and Keel Media. This week, Mike is going to have Sean Burkhart on with him to discuss weather engineering and cloud control. And is that something that we should be alarmed at, know about what's going on with that. Mike and Sean will have a lively conversation, I'm sure, about cloud control and cloud seeding, I think is the word that they use now for that. But that's this week on the Mike Weatherford Show, Tuesday night. As always, at 7 o'clock, you can tune in on the Mike Weatherford Show Facebook page to catch that, or I think he's simulcast also on YouTube at the My Paris TV YouTube channel. And so make sure you check out Mike Weatherford Show with Sean Burkhart this week, talking about forecasting and the stuff that comes with some of the stuff you hear about with the weather nowadays.
I'm glad you kept us on a sports show, because that is way above my pay grade. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Sean does a good job with it, and it should be an interesting show to hear him and Mike get to talk about that stuff. And so, we, with everything that goes on, and just tune in Tuesday night at 7 o'clock to hear what Sean has to say, and Mike will have a thought or two on it also. I'm sure.
As we say in the sports world, Mother Nature and Father Time, undefeated.
That's exactly right.
Undefeated. Yeah.
And next week, we will be talking to the Jelks. If you know anything about Henry County sports, the name Jelks is synonymous with Patriots. And I'm going to have Bill and Andrew and Will on the show with me next week to talk about their family legacy of all the way back to Bill's dad. And then, of course, Andrew and Will and Ben playing for the Patriots and their careers afterwards. And so it's going to be a fun show talking to them about everything that comes being a joke.
So we'll look at this great promo, by the way. I love the graphic and everything.
Kevin does all of that.
So it is possible to make a graphic with multiple people on it. I see.
That's my fault. I will take full responsibility for that, Knox.
That one out.
That's my fault. Drop the ball there. And so... yes, it is. As you can see, next week we'll have Bill and Andrew and Will on the show.
I just want to be in I don't even have to be visible. Just put me in the corner in a small little spot so I know that I'm needed.
Okay. But that's next Sunday night at 7:30 here on SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew. Hope you'll tune in for that one. It's going to be another good one. Again, when you think Henry County sports, the name Jelks is one of the top of the list. And so it should be a great show talking to Bill and the boys about all that. So we were laughing. So Henry County folks, I have officially apologized to Knox for my behavior at the region championship last year when Clarksville High and Henry County girls played.
Yeah.
Please allow me to tell this story.
Please, Knox, tell the story about how unprofessional I was. And so go ahead.
So I've known JB for years. We always talk whenever we see each other. And I actually that night did not realize that the broadcast was there for some reason. That was probably because I had been in Springfield for the last 2 weeks covering the district and region tournaments. So my brain was everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
You lose track of time when you go over there.
You do.
I mean, you really do.
It's a great gym, but it's a prison gym. So love Springfield. But, so it's the region championship, Clarksville High and Henry County girls basketball. It was a very, very close game, very defensive, physical game. And Milan Smith, who is a good friend of mine, very good basketball player, going to Walter State this fall to continue.
Very talented young lady.
Very talented young lady. Was very underrated for 3 years playing behind Amari. Now took the shine a little bit this year. Fantastic basketball player. Anyways, tie game. Milan gets fouled with about 1.2 seconds to go and has free throws to win the game. Brian Rush, who's now retired, takes a timeout. Everyone goes back to the sideline. So I'm standing there, getting ready to take the photos for these free throws. Well, I hear somebody yelling my name to my right side. I look, and it's JB. He's going, Knox! And I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Because, me and JB will talk at, halftime or, when he's on the air. But this is a media timeout with 1.2 seconds. The game's still going on. Why is JB yelling my name? I walk over there in front of the entire Clarksville High crowd where he's situated, by the way, goes, you write in your article that they let Milan do whatever she wanted. And I'm sitting there, and the entire basketball crowd has hushed listening to JB yell at me, and I'm just like, well, I think I'll include it, man. I think I'll I think I'll write.
That was uncalled for on my part.
You hadn't had your 20-minute cool down.
I know. Listen,
Things escalated quickly.
Yes. And listen, no matter how unprofessional it was, I've never laughed that hard in the middle of a basketball game. That was hilarious.
We talked about the homer, Sam and I have made it a goal. I haven't shared this with Sam yet, but I told you guys that my goal is to be more neutral this year calling the ball games and not being such a homer, so that Sam and I have aspirations of going and calling the state championship games at some point after we watched some of them this year and thought, man, we could do that. And so
absolutely. And it's an overall it's neutral until you open your mouth, which is fine, well and good, but there's Whitney has started texting me during the game. Calm it down.
That's a show idea for you down the road. Just find a bunch of high school or broadcasters, sit around and give all their games. Just jokingly, and I've told Knox this, I've called games, not to get away, but I've called games. I can remember I went to Salina, Tennessee to call a high school football game. I was working for WTPR, the Radio Hall of Famer, Terry, doing Stewart County High School football, and we played at Salina. I sat outside under a wooden lean-to with an extension cord that was ran probably halfway back to Henry County from Salina to plug in, and had no cell phone service, and I was in an old bag phone setup just to tell stories about, I've called a high school basketball game from behind a brick wall. I was in an office. I was at Creekwood High School. They haven't had all the fiber optics run at the basketball in the gym yet. The only line they had was at one of the teachers' offices that had a window that overlooked the basketball court. So I had no noise, no buzzer, no whistle, no nothing, but I could see the basketball game.
Wow.
So I stood behind a window holding a phone calling a basketball game.
Wow.
So there's all sorts of stories, and when I first started, we'd pull in kickoffs at 7:30. We'd pull in the parking lot at 7:28 because you didn't know where. All sorts of things. And literally hit plug, hit power. Welcome everyone to high school football on a Friday. And so all those kinds of stories. There's your great show. Just get everybody for all the headaches and all the bumps and bruises you go through to learn. So Knox has gone through those as well when he started his career. Now
I remember specifically one moment where when you're talking about being neutral. This was back when I was announcing. I was still a high school student at Clarksville High, by the way. So I was still announcing games, and I was anything but neutral. Like if somebody on CHS hit a basket, I'm going wild. But if like Rossview hits, I'm like, well, number 8. Like I was so sad. And I remember specifically, it was my senior year. It was the year after the JJ Wheat group had graduated, and we were awful. We didn't win a game until I think February that year. But we actually ended up making a run to the region semifinals. I think we actually might have beat Henry County.
I think you did.
I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. Wasn't on purpose.
No shame. No shame.
Sorry.
But we did end up making it to the region semifinals and played Rossview, and the region tournament was at Clarksville High, so we got to host, even though we were bad. So I was the announcer, and I was not neutral because it was at Clarksville High. And I specifically remember one of the Rossview parents coming up to me and like,
I remember this.
This is a regional tournament. This is a neutral site. I said, yes. He goes, are you supposed to be neutral? And I was like, probably, but no. I'm still a student here. I'm still enrolled. I got 7th period across the hall right there, and I will be announcing the way I want.
Well, we laugh about it all the time because you're right. I think we mentioned it that, Sam and I – Kevin, you got a picture of Brian that we looked at a minute ago that is him. I think he said it was pregame, but it's a basketball game, and he's got his sheets and his computer and all. That picture right there. Yep. And so Sam and I would do well to get a roster, period, by the time the game starts some days. And
so backstory, and I don't know if you know that I do this, but early – before we're talking August, September time frame, before we get to basketball, I'm emailing all the schools at this point, right?
Yep.
Asking, and some are great, and it was fantastic when we had the big district together, right? Because Coach Rush
sharing information.
Yeah, Coach Rush was great. There was a portal. It was rosters, all of it. I didn't have to worry too much, right? Then we went through a spell where some of the schools would send a roster. I mean, Dixon was always great. All of our non-district and non-region games those coaches were pretty good because we were all 20 minutes away from them.
Right.
but then some, like West Creek, would send a roster, and it would be wrong top to bottom. So I spent time working on phonetic pronunciations. None of them were on the actual roster.
My favorite rosters are the grade alphabetical rosters.
Oh,
Yes.
those are
Which
the
are
worst.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't do,
Yes.
Why do people do that?
I don't even know why
Why do
are
people
those
do
even
that?
graded.
Oh, they're the worst.
So my wife, God bless her, she would help me. Quite honestly, because I was learning Excel and still, I'm not that old guy that's that computer illiterate, but I still have challenges.
No, he's pretty computer illiterate.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
No problem.
Help me rearrange a roster where it's actually in numerical order, so you can actually, quick glance and do that. But that photo you see is from the ASUN championship game down in Stetson. I'm very lucky to work with the athletic department at Austin Peay and the sports information guys. And shout out to Preston and Casey and Alex and Camille and all those great folks. They'll get you on the football side. I'll have notes on a Wednesday or Thursday usually. Wow. And then like this is basketball, so I've got game notes. You can see the Stetson green in hand. That's their game notes that they gave me. And of course, it's a championship game, so there's a lot of folks that are coming in that aren't normally there, so they make sure they have all the information. Game notes have everything from stats to pronunciations, which is the biggest part because
absolutely.
I'm a country boy from Montgomery County. The Smiths and Jones don't play football anymore in country.
No.
So you've got to have that pronunciation guide. So that kind of information makes me look a lot smarter than I actually am. I make the joke, and the easiest way I can put it into is numerical terms. I try to go into game with 100 or stories. I try to go to game with facts from the opponent, from us, from the league, the conference we're playing in, and I want to have stories. I hope I only use 20 because the action on the field is good enough that I don't need to go into my bag and to get tricks or however you want to say it. But I'm a stickler for prep. My week for football, like I said, we play at Middle on a Saturday. We host a coach. I still host the coach's show, so I'll get ready for that on Tuesday. The show's on Wednesday. Thursday, I try to have a phone call with either the opponent's radio guy or if they have a press any kind where I can listen to the coach's show or to the other coach. I try to do that. Friday is all about family. It was him in high school. My daughter's still in the marching band, so it's we're going to the band. I'm the band dad, doing what I need to do, and then dive back in Saturday morning. My wife will tell you I get up. It's game notes and coffee. It's shower, getting dressed, get ready, sit down again, and then off to the games. Or if I'm on the road, it's breakfast at the team meal and notes, and then get ready and roll. So I try to piece it together. I don't try to do all of it at once because if you do all of it at once, I never remember it. I tried that. I've done this long enough where I've tried several different styles of preparation. But to me, that's the joy of being with one school. I'll remember what happened, for say last year in football. I can remember what happened in the opener at Louisville when we're playing Texas Christian or Abilene Christian at the end of the year. I can remember at basketball what happened last year when we lost to Stetson in that championship game when we have that rematch the next year in the regular season. So being with one school is so much easier. I've done a little bit of television work with the old College Sports South, which I'm not the reason they went under, but they're now defunct. But that's hard. It's hard to pick up and for them to call you on a Sunday or Monday and say, hey, we need you in Campbellsville, Kentucky on a Saturday afternoon to call a football game. I got to Campbellsville. I know who the Tigers are. I found as much information as I could. I tried to make those phone calls and get what I can. But it's so much harder when you don't know either entity, when you can stay with one group. Same with you guys and staying with one school. You remember what happened last week. You remember what they did well, what they did poorly, what they improved on. Hey, this run game looks a whole lot better this week than it did last week. And is that us? Is that the defense we're playing this week? You can build on all those kind of storylines. And to me, that makes it so much easier to stay with one school and stay with one prep to be ready to go.
What is
you guys know this too. Like, I feel like that's something that really separates a radio guy or TV guy is the prep. Like a lot of people can look at a game and tell you what's happening.
Sure.
A lot of people can do that. But knowing the stories, in between the lines, knowing, this is a transfer from this school and this is why she's playing well because she didn't like this school from another conference, whatever. Just knowing those little things and knowing the in between the line stuff that you wouldn't know if you were just watching the game. That's the stuff that really separates you as a radio guy.
The best way I've ever heard it told is my job as the play. Most of us work in twos, the play-by-play guy and the color guy. My job as the play-by-play guy is to paint you a black and white picture. If you're listening to a football game, you probably have a pretty good idea of what a football field looks like, what a normal football player looks like, that it's 11 versus 11, or you have some base knowledge of it. So my job is to make sure that the black and white picture is painted with that base knowledge. A great color man puts in all the color, puts in all the flair, puts in all the. So when I prepare as play-by-play, I actually try to prepare as a color guy to have those stories. And I work with great color guys. I've worked with several through basketball. Van Stokes is with me for all of my 11 with football. So I've worked with quality people that know what they're doing, and that's the way we kind of set it up. I'm going to paint that black and white picture to make sure you know exactly where the ball is on the hash and what yard line and what down and distance and what the score and time and all those basics that you really, even if you're just scanning the radio dial, to catch on. But then if you stay with us, we're going to fill it in and color it in for you and really get you involved in what we're doing.
So Sam does a great job of our prep work because he'll research whoever we're playing that week and have their record, and it just does a great job with that. And
which I mean,
it's hard at the high school level.
It's hard.
Kudos to all the high school announcers that do, because that is a hard job.
It's entertaining though. It really is, because you realize that you think there's only 2 people listening. There's really 200 or 2,000, whatever that number is, right?
I go back and I keep saying all the advice I got. My advice, and I'll give this to every broadcaster, and I've told Knox this: when you do a contest or whatever you're doing, you only think there's 2 people listening. And those 2 people are on your side, but they're your mother and your grandmother.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to have those with you, that's the 2 they're listening. Yes, you hope everybody else is listening. But if I can call a game and explain what's happening to a point where my mother and my grandmother understand what I'm saying, everybody can understand. Right. And my mom knows football. She was at all of my football games when I tried to play, and so she has a base knowledge. My wife, the same way, has a base knowledge. So if I can call it, and Knox will tell you this, I'll go home and my wife, Denise, will say, "Hey, I heard you say this, or I heard this," and I was like, okay, I did it right.
Yeah.
She understood. She knew exactly what was going, or she'll ask me, what happened there? She was with it. I said it. Right. Maybe I didn't explain it fully enough, but that's my critique that I need to go through. Because if you guys are listening, and you guys are, I would say, on a higher level knowledge-wise than a normal, somebody just scanning the radio, you'll understand when I say something happens. So I have to, if I start talking about a guy playing in the nose guard, playing in the zero, playing zero on the center, and start shading and start. I'm going to lose half the people that are listening,
right.
But if I say he's lined up right on helmet to helmet with the center and he's going to charge to the right side and go that way, there's ways to describe it without being so technical. Some people need that technicality, but the normal listener for what we listen to just needs that general information to stay involved and engage with the show.
Just for my curiosity, what does your football call sheet look like? How is it? I saw the basketball one.
It is giant.
I wish I'd have brought it.
I thought about texting you and be like, "Hey man, can you bring one of those?"
So
just because
I use it is a poster board,
okay,
and it is offense and defense. I don't even have a picture. I would send it to them and let them upload it. But it is again, it's 100 when I need 20.
Yeah.
I'll have 2 deeps, 3 deeps. That's where I start when, like I said, when I'm calling the opponent's either radio guy or SID, and like, hey, is this guy still your starter? Is he scratched, or what? Well, he missed last week with a knee, so I'll make my notes there. So, it's in hieroglyphics because I know where I put stuff. I put certain things as. My far left is my 3rd down percentage, 4th down percentage, made field goals, missed field goals, blocks, all the things, yardage per attempt, and everything. All my quick little references are there. But if somebody else was to pick it up and look at it, they'd be like, "Why is that and this?" And I know what I'm looking for. But my call, it's a poster board, and I'll send you a picture. It won't do us any good here. Great radio over great television here, not having it, but it's a poster board and it flips. Yeah. So my offense and defense are always on the same sheet. And then when we are on defense, it literally flips over in defense and offense. Yeah. So I know exactly who those starters are for the other team. Their second, if they have to go to the second player or the 2-string running back or the 3rd-string receiver. I usually don't go past 3rd string because we don't see a lot of that. Sure. So there are some times where you're in blowout situations where you're scrambling to find a roster.
You're looking on the website.
Yeah. I keep. You saw that little picture of Stetson. I keep a iPad in front of me as well. Most of the time, that is stats that are updated. Luckily, at the collegiate level, are pretty good. I know at the high school level it's almost impossible. I'll have to bring you my paper chart that I used to keep score on doing high school games. But there's so much going on that if someone else watched me, they would have me committed and think I'm a madman.
Sure.
But I know my pattern, and I know what I need to have in front of me. Like I said, you saw that prep, you saw those notes. Once the game gets started, it kind of parts the seas, and I have my main rosters in front of me that I've wrote and I've made my notes on. But I know to my left is the visitors, and I know to this side is Austin Peay, usually to my home team. And if I need to make a quick reference while my color man is talking, or if I'm by myself, I'm stalling a little, but I'm finding what I need because I've done that prep and done that research to know where it is.
I think it's huge as well. It's okay to over prep, and it's okay to prep
100%.
knowing that
100%.
failure is the thing, because especially what you were talking about, if somebody scratched the week before, you don't know if they're going to play. Or I'll give a personal example. I remember I did a pregame show at Indiana State. It was the first road game of the women's basketball season. Indiana State had a guard that made, I believe it was 12 threes in the first 2 games. So I was like, okay, shooter. Watch out for her. I talked about that in the pregame show. She played 35 minutes, didn't score against us. So I'm sitting there
fails.
okay, I'm going to look like an idiot in the pregame show, but I did that prep and I knew that. So just putting it out there that it could be a thing, especially on the radio, that's something that you're allowed to fail in.
Sure.
I can think of one great example. We played Central Arkansas 4 years ago. Once we got back into good competitive football, we started playing a team that had made the FCS playoffs. On the second series, there was a tailback who had a different number that wasn't on my chart. I had 3 deep at tailback, which usually tailbacks and receivers, I'll go 3. Number was nowhere near on my chart. So I look it up, get the actual roster. It's a freshman kid from somewhere. Actually, it was their star tailback who had his jersey ripped in the first series, and so they switched numbers but didn't tell anybody.
Oh, wow.
So for the entire first half, I was telling this kid's having an amazing freshman game in his freshman year. And then I go in and we take a break at halftime. I go in and talk to their SID. It's like, man, where'd this freshman kid come from? I'm like, what freshman kid? I'm like, the kid, I think it was 38. Although we switched jerseys. He had his jersey ripped. No one told us.
Wow.
So I had to go back and eat a little crow, and that's what you do. But it happens. So as much prep as you can. There's all sorts of curveballs that'll come at you, and I turn into Joe Boo. I can hit a fastball, but I can't hit a curve. So
That's what drives me crazy about the one thing in high school is sometimes, especially where they sit us a lot of times at the games, if there's a technical or something like that, we don't know what, they'll stop the game and they'll go over and they'll talk at the table, and we're like, they're talking about something down there. I don't know what it is.
And Knox, like I said, Knox started doing PA. When I just started doing PA. Literally leaving the broadcast booth or broadcast area and going down to the table and listening or saying, hey, what happened?
Yeah.
Or if you're on a wireless mic, you take the wireless mic with you and go learn what happened and then announce it to the crowd.
Or if you're like my Clarksville High setup where I was not on the scorer's table, I was above up in the stands. So when they say what a technical is about, I have absolutely no clue. I also don't know who the foul's on. I'm looking and being like, okay, I think he said that number.
Yeah. Because the same way at Gamlin Gymnasium, because I did the same thing. I started out doing PA for basketball. I mean, before I really got back into radio full time with Sam, I was doing the PA, and so Gamlin Gymnasium same way. The announcer sits up in the top in the media box, and so we would be, something going on, and you're like, I don't know what in the world this could be.
We can share stories about broadcast locations.
There's Brian's view from the baseball.
Yeah, that is radio from Raymond C. Hand Park for baseball. It's a fantastic view. I think you've got one of my football set up as well at Forterra Stadium. So baseball's fantastic there. Yes, literally, I'm opening a window and hanging a microphone out to get some crowd noise and see there. And so, let's see. You get into the bigger schools, broadcast locations are not an issue. You go to Ole Miss, it's fantastic. We go back to Georgia this year in the second game of the season. People are surprised by telling that Georgia's an open-air press box. There's no air conditioning. And we played there 5 years ago on one of the hottest days on record in the state of Georgia.
That is the sweatiest I've ever seen you in my life.
It's true, yeah. I had to change socks for the ride home, but that's another story. And like I said, on the high school level, you've been in lean-tos or brought your own tent, or you sat out in the crowd or sat on top of a roof somewhere. Or I can remember being in a scissor lift, getting scissor lifted behind the stands so I could see over the stands to the football field. Because that's where the power supply and the phone. So I got everything hooked up, and then they literally hooked up. If the guy didn't like me, he wouldn't have let me down. I'd still be in that scissor lift today because I couldn't have the control. The controls are on the bottom. So, yeah, there's all sorts of great spots. But, where you're at and what you're a part of, and there's stories to tell for sure.
Knox, real quick, run out of time, and I hate that, but real quick, talk about ClarksvilleNow.com and your work with them. Of course, with the district or the region changes, be seeing a lot of Clarksville schools again in football this year for the Patriots. And, of course, basketball is always, we make regular trips over there. But for football, getting back to the Clarksville district, as we call it. But talk about Clarksville Now and your work with them and covering high school sports there in Clarksville.
Yes, sir. So I started sports writing my senior year of high school. I started with Clarksville Now in December of 23 after working a year and a half at Main Street. I got my start from Brady Academy, rest his soul, my mentor. He was a fantastic guy, fantastic dude, just moved up to Michigan. So, Brady, I just wanted to let you know, like, everything I do is for him. That's my guy. I love that dude. Anyways, when talking about, football this year, and specifically the teams Henry County is going to see, for all the Henry County folks that are watching out there, Kirkwood is going to be the preseason favorite in Clarksville that everyone's going to talk about in 5A when you're talking about that region. Chad Watson does a fantastic job with them and has transformed that program. Everyone forgets they're only 3 years old. This is going to be their third season as a program. I mean, they hosted a home football game in 6A football as a second-year program. It's ridiculous what they've done in 2 years and going on their third. Right. And they've got a stud quarterback named Miles Redding, was a semifinalist for Mr. Football last year in 6A. Fantastic quarterback, dual-threat guy. And they've got a lot of weapons offensively and led by Kamari Blair, South Carolina committed offensive tackle. So Kirkwood is going to be preseason what everybody talks about. But I think there's 3 other Clarksville schools that you're going to see they're going to be really, really good. You've got a lot of coaches that are going into their second year at Northeast and Northwest that are looking for something to prove. Northeast is going to be much improved. I really do think they're going to turn some heads this year. They've got a quarterback transfer from Pearl Cone that's very good. Coach Weston, I love Deontay Weston, Northeast. He's a fantastic coach. Love the guy. Love what he's doing at Northeast. They're going to be good this year. Northwest has got second year under Mark Hall. He's got a full offseason under him because their coach, I believe, left in like May, so we only had the summer to go through. People don't realize, how important that winter workout stuff is going into spring ball and everything like that. So Northwest is going to be much improved. And Kenwood, I don't know how much Kenwood football you watch, but Kenwood football is going to look completely different than what they normally do. Usually they're air raid, chuck it 70 yards. They're going to be more of an option team. I watched them Friday night against Montgomery Central. They've got a receiver they turned quarterback. He's a fantastic athlete named Christian James. I think they ran zone read like 10 times. It's going to be a lot of option, a lot of reading it out, and he is an electric guy at quarterback. So they're going to be fun to watch this year.
Awesome. Looking forward to that for sure. And then you can find everything you write on ClarksvilleNow.com. Check it out. You have how many articles you put out a week? Is it?
So it really...
He's coming off his dry spell. He's fixing to get busy.
Yeah.
So I will say the most articles I've ever put out in a week when talking about game coverage, I think 1 week during the state tournament, I think I got to 20. I normally do not put out 20 articles in a week. Please do not hold me to that standard. But I would say in a normal sports week about 8, because you get, especially during football, you're getting 2 games. You're getting 2 football games. You're usually getting a soccer and a volleyball. I tried to make sure they get covered as well in the fall. You're getting a football preview. Usually you're getting we do player of the weeks every week for football, specifically in the fall, and then basketball and baseball and softball in the spring. So you're getting about 8 to 10 articles a week. On a busier week, it can get up to 15, 16. Again, I hope it never gets to 20. That was one of the craziest weeks of my life. And I'll tell you, so the crazy part about it is I don't think people fully realize how good of a sports town Clarksville has been this spring. We had 4 teams between baseball and softball go to the state tournament. That's unheard of, especially in some of the same classifications. So how good that was a fantastic thing, but terrible for me because I felt like I was a road runner around Murfreesboro for a week trying to cover everything. But it was a great time, and Clarksville Now has been really amazing and blessing me with this opportunity, and I just hope that the people of Clarksville enjoy the sports coverage.
Awesome. Well, I read just about every article you put out because
appreciate that.
Like I said, I like knowing what's going on in Clarksville because we know we're going to see y'all at some point, and so might as well. But Couple of things real quick. Got some photos there, Brian. That's the you said the ASUN Championship Trophy.
That is
right?
the ASUN Football Championship. The ASUN no longer sponsors football because, half the teams now play for another conference. So we will actually play football under the UAC flag, United Athletic Conference. So ourselves, Eastern Kentucky, West Georgia, and who am I missing?
Central Arkansas.
Central Arkansas, that were ASUN members, still play football. The rest departed to other conferences, so we now play under the UAC flag. But that's the 2022 ASUN Football Championship Trophy. I'm actually holding it at a basketball game, oddly enough, because we recognize the football team. So, there's no rest for the weary. I'll hit football starting, like I said, the last Saturday of this month. There's Jeff Bacon, our ASUN commissioner. That's a preview piece we did for ESPN where I was lucky enough to get seated with every men's and women's basketball coach in the ASUN and at least one player from each team. And we did a little season preview for that 2 years ago. Inside F&M Bank Arena, the new at that point bright and shiny, hadn't even got a chip of paint off the wall yet at that point. But I get a lot of different opportunities to tell the story with Austin Peay, to tell the story of these male and female student athletes, students first, athletes second. And it's a blessing for me to be a part of it and to get to do what I do each time I crack a mic open.
Well, like I said, you guys are what I aspire to be. I enjoy doing Henry County Patriot athletics and sports, and I enjoy my time with Sam and with Griffin and all those guys. But I just think it's awesome getting to go with that next level and do the collegiate level. And
listen, I tell everybody, I started doing high school.
Yeah.
Like I said, WTPR, doing Stewart County High School football, and somebody heard me and gave me another opportunity. And then from that opportunity, someone heard me and gave me another opportunity. And like I said, I keep trying to kick the doors down, just like Knox. I hope every opportunity comes his way. If it's you guys introducing to someone or someone reads an article, you never know who's listening or watching or reading. So just kick the door down when you get that opportunity, no matter what that is in life. So,
well, I appreciate you guys making the trip over from Clarksville tonight to Paris. And Knox, I know that.
You think Taters is still open on the way out?
I think they close at like
on
8
a Sunday,
or so,
yeah.
Unfortunately. But next time we talked about doing a live show from Taters. Believe it or not, that may be a good one to come back and
there you go
and do. But I'm glad. I hope Henry County was better to you tonight than normal. Your other memories.
That stupid train horn, man. Real quick before we go out, I will say I remember my freshman year we played a second round playoff game at Henry County. I'd never played at Henry County before because we played them at home during the regular season. And I remember our coaches running around with air horns, blasting them in our ear every time the scout team got a 3-yard gain or more. I remember this so specifically. And I'm sitting there, I'm a 14-year-old kid. I'm like, what are we doing this for? It can't be this bad. And then as soon as y'all get a 5-yard gain and we play the most annoying sound on planet Earth. And it is hard. I'll give you all the respect. It is hard to play at Henry County.
Thank you.
For the record, this will be the first time Knox leaves Henry County with a W.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
And on that note,
it's going to be a really tumultuous ride home.
It's time. Guys, thank y'all again for being here.
Appreciate
Fun
it.
show. Appreciate you guys making the trip over. And I hope you enjoyed it because I know I certainly did. And so don't forget to join us next week. Again, we'll have Bill and Andrew and Will Jelks on to talk about the Jelks legacy with Henry County sports. But until then, as always, I want to say thank you to Mike Weatherford and to Kevin Keel and Scott Norwood in the back, keeping us on the air. Thanks to Mike for the use of the studios here in Keel Media. Been live from the Brewer Street Mafia Studios here on Brewer Street in Paris, Tennessee. We appreciate you listening in this week. Join us again next Sunday night at 7:30 for more SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew. Until then, take care of yourself and each other. We'll see you in a week.
you